There's actually a recent documentary-esque miniseries you may have heard of by a group of paranormal investigators, not of the Joe Nichols sort, definitely not, that came out just this year about the return of the Kentucky goblins. But it's look, look. I
What?
just I just look, for the record, my thought on all that stuff is have fun. As long as nobody's getting swindled out of money or other resources or something like that, knock it out. Have a blast. Couldn't care less. So, on that note, if you want to have that kind of fun, they put it on YouTube in its entirety. I'm not going to name it or turn this into a review because I'm I'm not in the mood to risk getting smoked on Twitter. Per my observation, anyone who has any critique about it gets snark and blowback from the filmmakers and from fans. It's really interesting. Like, they can't take critique. So, all I'll say is, hey, give it a whirl. If paranormal investigation stuff is your jam, you'll probably enjoy it because they go to Kentucky, and so that's a fun little field trip. The production value's good. That's There you go. I'm not gonna say nothing else. Just know that in terms of comparing it to Hopkinsville, the assertion is that it has tons of stuff in common, and from what I can divine, it has one thing in common. I did watch some of it, so it has one thing in common, which is that something weird in a backyard in a small town in Kentucky happened. The description of what was seen this go round bears little similarity, and plus they don't have an in-person witness or witnesses, which would be lovelier, but one person wrote them an email. And I have no reason to believe that the people behind the show made it up, not at all. I'm saying that my gut reaction is to think that they got played. But whatever, they got a fun little successful show out of it. So yay team, they're smart cookies. Way to go.
I'm just amazed that they got a show out of an email that was,
Unsubstantiated.
verified.
Yeah. And they had a name, and they go, okay, we'll just go down this road. They go to this little town, and by little, I mean 300 people little. They'd have a name. The guy gave his first and last name, and he mentioned he was a doctor. Didn't say if it was medical or otherwise, but he said he was a doctor. Now, in a town of that many people, and this is country. Like, for the listeners, I am Southern. There is country in Southern, but you can have country in places not Southern. There's Pennsylvania country. Country is very specific. It's a very specific vibe. It's a very specific community. It's very unassuming. They take care of their own. They are slightly reticent to outsiders, but if you show that you're not there to be judgy or invade their space or take advantage of them or whatever, they will embrace you like no other. So
Mhm.
they go out there with a name and with a description of it's vague, but of kind of what his house looked like and his occupation, and nobody has heard of this person. So here's their conclusion. Oh, he's given us a fake name. Another conclusion, may I submit, would be that the whole thing's fake. That somebody's trying to, because there were subsequent emails, but that didn't really give them much to go on. That's all they had to go on. There was a photograph that showed a blur and a photograph of the most pristine footprint of something that I've ever seen in my life. Um, pristine. Pristine.
A single footprint? Like there's
Uh-huh.
no other footprints in the area?
Nope.
Only one?
Only one.
Okay.
Well, I mean, there could have been more, but that was the footprint. And they lost me. Here's the thing. They start bringing in all this woo. They start bringing in stuff about the Mothman and stuff about I got 2.25 episodes in before I tapped out. So listen, for me, that's huge. And again, production value great. The music that somebody composed for it is great. The pacing was a drag. In my mind, they have about 3 episodes worth of stuff that got stretched into 5. And it's like, well, you didn't watch the whole thing. Well, no, I didn't. They didn't woo me early on by taking 1,000,000 minutes to read every word of the emails that some random sent to this dude. Just, quote the key parts and summarize the rest and move on. And they're introducing team members with all this backstory, like they're the goddamn Avengers, and a lot of talk about synchronicity. Synchronicity. If I heard that word one more damn time, and you mean coincidence? Like when stuff you've been working for falls into place? Is that what that means? And painstakingly long shots of empty chairs and cats, and then walking into a hotel and tapping on the steering wheel. Like, can you find the man? Find the man that wrote you the email. Find the man. This isn't hard. I mean, it shouldn't be hard. It shouldn't be hard. And but they can't do that because the conclusion is they got taken. There is no man. Go to the post office. And they might have, because again, I quit watching. Like they called radio stations and TV stations and newspapers or something. They called around.
Lord.
They called around.
My God.
But I'm like, and they asked around. So that's smart. You ask around. Now, you don't call hospitals and you don't call doctors' offices and you don't call the cops because the return is we don't comment on people's personal lives. We don't comment on what you do is you go to realtors. You go to people who aren't bound by confidentiality. I don't know, maybe they went to realtors. I have no idea. But I'm telling you, a doctor and his wife and his children moved to this very, very, very rural place. People will know them. They will, even if they don't know them, they're going to make a point to know about them. And so upon not finding that, well, the story's over. So they had to add all this other stuff and try to make all these connections and they were talking about Indrid Cold. Have you ever heard of that? We might talk about it on an episode. People listening, if I don't edit all this out, they're going to go, oh, really? Indrid Cold. They were talking about codes and ciphers from Aleister Crowley. They were talking about doing spirit boxes. And I just tapped out. I was like, what are you doing? Is this about and clear across the state? It's Hellier. Okay. I'll just say the name. It's Hellier, Kentucky. And the name of the series is Hellier. So Hellier, Kentucky is far and gone from Hopkinsville. It's clean across the state. It's over Virginia way. And I don't why aren't they trying to make a connection? Go back and dig into Hopkinsville. First of all, make that part of your little documentary. Tell people about that. Then you investigate the shit out of this and maybe try to contact people who are still alive. Maybe I'm editing every bit of this out. Okay. Anyway, I'm going to get unflustered and readjust.
I was enjoying that little rant.
Were you? Maybe I'll leave it in. This
should be like an extra snippet. Okay. Bonus material.
Oh, it'll be bonus. It'll be bonus. That's a good idea. That's a really good idea, actually. Maybe I'll make them go to the YouTube channel to hear my... All right.